Hey, hey, what's up, everybody? It's Tiff back again. Are you sick of me yet? I am coming full force today with, I think this is like the fourth Meet the Trainers video I've done. Anyway, we saved the grand finale for last, and Eric is here to tell us all about himself. And then I'm going to tease him a little bit because of the same stuff that I always tease him about, but it's all in good fun. You'll hear. So, Eric, let's start out with intros. Who are you, good sir?
So Erick Gelhaus, retired cop, formerly of California. Now I'm on the Wasatch Front in Utah. I escaped. A little bit of military time, some time doing the academic thing. So I have a little bit or a lot of nerd science going on behind some of the stuff I do. And I just got done getting a book that I co-authored published too. So which kind of does play in a little bit to what we're doing. So military, cop, academic, all that.
Don't forget the nerd part, right?
And the
That's
nerd part, well, I
important.
thought that was the academic, but yeah, the nerd part.
Yeah, we have to be specific. There's all kinds of academics. All right, very cool. Thank you. So now and congratulations on the book, by the way. And also thank you for your service. I like to say that whenever I get a chance. But I also want to talk about the classes that you're teaching at TACCON.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go through them one at a time. And I was just teasing you because you actually have a pretty light schedule this year. For anybody who's new to TACCON, you will shortly learn that the two hardest working trainers at TACCON are usually Eric and Chuck Haggard, and they're always fighting each other for who can have the most classes on the schedule. I think Chuck has beat you out this year. You're only teaching 3 classes. What a slacker. I'm just teasing. We
No,
love you.
I know. I'm only teaching 3 because just scheduling conflicted and stuff.
Because you're a superstar and you're just in high demand all over the country. I mean, we're lucky to have you for at least a few days at TACCON. All right, I am really excited about this first class. You're bringing a new class this year called Teaching and Learning the Dot A Way. And I totally
Yes.
know where you're going with that, but I want you to tell everybody because I think it's fantastic. What's that class about?
So the dots are here, right? It's not like they're coming. They're here. And folks are trying to figure out what to do with them. And there's been a lot of emphasis in different areas, right? This is trying to kind of do the foundational stuff. So based on what we put together at Gunsight, based on what I've seen with some other folks in their dot classes, this is kind of a way to teach it, how to get the dot onto the target, into the eye line, whether you're working from a ready position or you're working from a holster, and not overly emphasizing one area or the other, right? Not just the quote tactical side, not the competition side, but kind of a foundational way to put the dot into the mix from wherever you're starting out with the gun. And look at some things about attention, not necessarily focus, but attention. Um, and then also to what happens when the dot's not working, ways to make it work for you, and what do you do when the dot doesn't work, which is stuff I've hit on in the past, but kind of trying to bring it all together in one block.
Yeah, last year you taught blocked and broken red dots, and that was a super popular block. So maybe we'll get a little teaser of that content in this 4-hour class. So just real quick to clarify, this is teaching and learning the dot.
Right.
So appropriate for folks who are new to the dot as a practitioner, yes?
Yes. So if you've just got the dot, it's new in your hand, or you're like kind of trying to figure out what to do with it, come to the class.
And
If
what about folks who are teaching? Oh, I think you read my mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, and if you're a peer of mine, right, somebody else who's teaching classes with folks coming with dots, or maybe you're not necessarily into it, but you got students who do. These are ways that you can present this material to your students. So it's like, come steal my stuff. You're more than welcome to, because I stole most of it from somebody else or other people. Um, and take that back with you, right? It's all sharing. We're all kind of trying to. This is still a thing where there's a lot of stuff developing, but that's why this is a way, not even close to being the way.
And on that note, I just want to personally and also on behalf of everybody at TACCON, thank you for A, being generous with your expertise, B, not being dogmatic, and C, being super humble and recognizing that, maybe there are other ways to do it.
Oh,
So I've always admired that about you, and I really appreciate you bringing that perspective to the instruction.
Thank you.
That's class number one. Number two is the nerd class with John Hearn. So that's my name for it. I call it the nerd
Yeah.
class, and I say that absolutely lovingly for anybody who doubts it. But tell us about the nerd class and what the actual title of the class is.
So I think this year we're calling it recent studies. In the past, we've called it our favorite scientific studies, our favorite research. Normally it's Lee Weems, John Hearn, and myself, but Lee's got a new gig and we can't guarantee he's going to be around. So it'll be John and I talking about kind of our favorite studies. Where I'm looking at this year some work on heart rate. So there was a great study done some years back by Kathleen Vonk on heart rates and performance. And then it kind of disappeared for a while. And then recently, Force Science brought some stuff back with studies. So I'm going to take a look at what a lot of people thought we were doing with heart rate and performance, dive into Kathleen Vonk's work because I always thought it was excellent the way that she did it, and then kind of add to it with the recent stuff that's come out of Force Science and some of the folks in that world on heart rate, performance, processing, kind of all that may or may not impact some things. And a teaser, it's not just go do push-ups and run around the range.
Nice. So real quick, and this will sound like a painfully obvious question to you, but I just have to get it out there because one of the things that I really respect about you and John Hearn and Lee and a couple of others is that you really do milk every dime out of those master's degrees, right? You're totally focused on research as opposed to just content. So
Yeah.
refresh us on what the difference is, why what you and Hearn do is different from collecting a lot of stuff that you read on blogs or articles on the internet.
What, I guess the way to put it is what John, Lee, and myself have tried to do is make it applicable. So here's what the researchers are saying. Here's the science approach to it, right? And John's got the master's in research work. That's where his degree is in. But what we're trying to do is like, here's what the science says, not just one, but multiple sources. How does this apply to you as an attorney who represents stuff? How does this apply to, Akil when he's teaching on the range, right? How does this apply to maybe Laura, who's like, okay, I hear this stuff, but how does this work for me as somebody who concealed carries, right? And bring all that part of it in, right? Like how to make sense of it. So
Love it.
because I know like when I was starting grad school, not so much in undergrad, but when I was starting grad school, some of this stuff was a little intimidating. And the more you read of it, the more you kind of get away to like, okay, how does this apply to normal humans, decent normal human beings, right? And get
Yep.
it from that perspective.
I love it. And thank you so much for doing that. You are making this super highfalutin research very approachable and accessible to the masses who are the folks who need it. So
Yes.
thank you. All right. And then your last class, your third class this year is rules 2 and 4 in practice. That's a live fire block. I think it's a 2-hour block.
Yep, that's a
Tell us
short one.
about that one.
So, we're all familiar with the 4 safety rules, and 2 and 4 are never let your muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. And rule 4 is be sure you're targeting what's beyond. The problem is on the square range, those are kind of easy to deal with, right? But they also get glossed over because the target's that 2-foot by 3-foot piece of paper or cardboard with that 30 or 40-foot berm behind it, right? And you're only kind of really dealing with the cardboard in front of you or maybe the person on either side. That changes a whole lot when you leave the range and now you're in a Walmart, a Target, maybe you're home downstairs when you got folks upstairs and things like that. So the idea behind this class is take some of the traditional square range stuff that we've done with a timer. Okay, we'll introduce it, right? Now let's start layering in problems and making those problems in depth. So it's not just how fast can you shoot this drill, whatever this drill is, but now what happens when you have to work that drill, that problem, and there's no shoots between you and the problem, or there's no shoots on the back side. And so, yeah, timer's going to be there, but it's not going to be about time as much as about it's going to be getting it right and not running muzzles across things that don't need muzzles run across them and not putting holes and stuff in front of or behind that. And ways that can be done on the square range to kind of improve stuff for everybody, right? You can throw the material from this into the last 30 minutes of a range session, right? You can do some things with it other than kind of what we've traditionally done, which is shoot at a 2-dimensional piece of paper with a big honking berm behind it.
Nice. Once again, another example of you making these sort of esoteric principles a lot more practical to average everyday life. And I was super thrilled to see this class and similar class from Wayne Dobbs called Rule 4 Defensive Pistol. We just talked to him about that, and he talks a lot about, you mentioned the timer. He talked about how folks who are super fast tend to get, you know, a lot more. There's a much bigger pack in the middle of the bell curve as far as speed when you start throwing no shoots in and decision making, and when you actually breathe life into Rule 4, which is really kind of an extension of Rule 2. So I love it, and I'm excited that we've got this Rule 4 work happening and with real live fire classes at TACCon this year. That's fantastic. All right, only 3 classes.
Only 3. I'm sorry. I'm in Arizona until Friday night. No, usually I offer 3 or 4, and you make every one of them happen twice, which makes it like 6 to
No. I was just talking about different classes. I haven't even counted the repeats yet. That's a whole other story. But anyway, we really appreciate you, Eric. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see your material. Everybody's in for a treat. Don't miss the opportunity to train with Erick Gelhaus. And I will see you in Dallas, my friend.
You are far too kind, Tiffany. Thank you. It's not that far away. I'm really looking forward to it.
I know. It's like a couple of weeks, right?
Yep.
Crazy.
Seems like it.
Time flies. Well, on that note, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.